Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, my good One Love family, and the Makers Bar studio audience. I'm Seth Garu Baxter here today with one of our incredible guests with Makers Bar. We're so honored to have Jake Matykiewicz here. He is the founder of Alltech Virtual. He hails from Scottsdale, Arizona. He is 29 years old. And when I say to you guys, his personal testimony and the beginning of his organization is one for the ages to listen to and hear. You will be engaged, you will be encouraged, and you will be educated. Please help me welcome Jake. Jake, thank you so much for joining us here today at Makers Bar. How are you today, my friend?
Good. Yeah. Thank you, Seth. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jake, tell us a little bit about your early beginnings, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, well, let me just set the narrative real quick. Again, thanks for having me. I think it's really important what you guys are doing at Makers Bar and, getting people's stories out. Cause, I think last year was probably the record number, or last couple of years, record number of entrepreneurs and business owners or something. But yeah, so I'm 29. I grew up in Arizona. I lived in a couple different states growing up. I grew up thinking I was going to go to the NFL. I played college football, and I all of a sudden did a drastic change, and I moved to Missouri, and then I got into construction there in Missouri. And then fast forward a little bit, I went back to school for construction, and that's when I started my first company. So I was 21 and I started my first construction company. And on the side, I was, doing some transactions and some stuff on the internet. So I was using Bitcoin at the time. And that's kind of when I first got into development, and kind of ties into what I'm doing now. I knew a little bit about, web development, software development, but that really sparked my interest at the time. I was in construction. I knew I couldn't really do virtual working and run a company. Construction's cool and everything. So in 2018, I actually moved to Seattle with my uncle, and I was just a ski bum for 2 months. And I was just trying to figure out what I want to do when I transitioned from construction to technology. And we were messing around with crypto, and I was like, hey, I want to be in blockchain, but maybe I should start with traditional development. So we decided to start a web development company where we were just building websites and kind of web apps and stuff like that. And then we were doing that until 2021, where 2021, kind of halfway through COVID or at the end of COVID, I kept bugging my childhood buddy, who's also an entrepreneur and a stock trader. I was telling him we need to do a blockchain company. We need to create a blockchain company. So we created this one startup called ChainRaise, and we have a crowdfunding portal. We're focused on real estate and Web3 companies. We bring assets onto the blockchain, tokenize them, and distribute security tokens, and pretty much what crypto tokens are, but they're backed by real world assets. You'll see it's all the craze now. People have been working on it for years and years, like us, but now it's just starting to get popular. Anyways, throughout that time, we built about 3 softwares for ourselves. And I said, I see all these problems in software development industry. Why don't I go back and create another company and bring back the web development, but we'll focus on mobile app development, web app development, and helping with people helping people with their maintenance and support for software. So now here we are. We got Alltech Virtual, and we're doing software development. We're doing mobile apps. We got some big clients, and then I have my startup ChainRaise, which I help with the technology there. We have a whole legal team. We have a whole bunch of people. We have about 40 clients. We're raising the capital. We built a crowdfunding portal where it's an investment platform on that end. So, but yeah, so it's really cool. And now it's just really special because it really took 10 years to get here, but the last 5 years I was focused on this dream right here and being in this position as far as business and stuff. So it's just a cool position to be in. I'm just trying to be as patient as possible and just be just stay on track, stay on the right track.
Where did you get the name Alltech Virtual from? Explain a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I can't take all the credit there. I have a lot of good people around me, and one of the guys I was working with, he really liked this name, and he wanted to see it, kind of come to life. So I said, hey, let's roll with it. And yeah, and Alltech Virtual is kind of like we do all the tech. We want to help you with all kind of tech, and we're virtual, and not necessarily we're virtual, but we're everywhere. We can do anything, and we just want to be there for people. But I really love meeting people in person and doing meetings in person. I really miss how it was pre-COVID. Um, but yeah, I think that's still fun, going and meeting with people in person.
In meeting with people and at the beginning of Alltech and its foundation, what would you say were some of the immediate challenges you faced when you began Alltech?
Um, yeah, well, there's a lot of challenges you know, in your business in general, including dealing with human emotions and sales. Those are two separate things, but two things that are pretty much most important. Um, it's just finding people who really want to work on the same level as you and see the same vision. And if you can find those people, then you can bring your vision to life. Unfortunately, I had to go through a few development teams throughout the process, and I think when you fail a few times with a certain thing, as long as you have a solution to kind of get out of that, and there's always going to be failure and stuff in business, and things won't work, so got to be able to quickly pivot and be able to do that. But it's just finding the right help to help you build what you need to build.
And Alltech helps with what? So Maker's Bar is a new company, and we come to Jake and Alltech Virtual. Can you expound upon Alltech and its ability to help Maker's Bar go to the next level, or what
Yeah.
applications you might be able to assist us with?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a few different people, whether it's a startup, say it's a newer company like you guys, and you have this great idea, and you need to do this, and this. Then we take your idea and we turn it into a design, and we present it to you, mock-ups, and we build it. With our team, software development. If you need help with the ideas, we can consult, and we can be like, hey, what's going on in your company? What can we build to optimize that and increase revenue? And then there's bigger companies, where we're working with some bigger companies too, where they've either have the product but it's on a website, and they want to turn it into a mobile app. So we'll take that and we'll turn it into a mobile app. So
And so some of your products are through the mobile application.
yeah, so if Maker's Bar had an idea for a mobile app, we would help you bring that idea to life. And it's just really important, though, with what we do. It's really important for people not to rush in to building big applications like that, because what we're doing now is big applications. These things take 8 to 9 months, and these are like I said, mobile applications, or a healthcare dashboard that people need to log in and manage their stuff. And then on the other end, the doctors can manage it, or whatever. But I think a lot of people here in America, it's kind of expensive, and you need to know the right people to do it. So you just got to make sure you have the right people to build that application. So
You mentioned something very interesting. You said find the right people. What's your technique or your pathway to find the right people to surround yourself with? Or maybe there's a couple of characteristics that you look for, or if you have a blueprint, what would that be, would you say, to find the right people to surround yourself with? Because I think that's key for entrepreneurs and successful business persons like yourself, finding the right team with you. And so we have some key indicators that we might look for. What would you say those are for you in Alltech Virtual?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think first you need to know what you're trying to build, and you need to know how teams are normally built out. So if you're going to go in there and you'd be like, oh, I think it's supposed to be built this way, and you build it out, it probably won't work. You should know how it's normally built out, and maybe you can tweak it from there. But Yeah, I mean, it's really important for me. The skills, what I've noticed is a lot of people can do the same skills, but a lot of people aren't the same as far as work ethic or being able to get along with other people or being able to see your vision or stuff like that. But it's crucial to, if you're gonna be able to work with like Alltech Virtual or any companies that I do, is you need to be assertive. You need to be able to go
Assertive.
yeah, you need to be able to go figure out, why is this not working? Don't text in the group chat and don't ask other people. You're hired to go figure out why it's not working and to figure out the solution. So I think if my my advice to anybody younger who maybe was trying to impress somebody that they worked under, or they just want a new skill to make them successful, it's being assertive. You're going to get paid because you're able to solve problems. That's really what people pay businesses for. So
So you'd say some of those indicators finding a team for you would be finding a person who's assertive, yet they also know their clear path. Those are two of the key characteristics you'd be looking for as
yeah,
far as some of your
but I
team.
think first you need to bring in somebody that's going to be side by side with you, who has a little bit more experience, who's going to help you build out that team, because it kind of needs to be multi-leveled. I like to look at more of the macro of the person and how they're going to fit, whereas I have my
Mm,
CEO or my project manager, they're looking at more of the technical skills. And when we give them a task, are they asking a million questions, or are they coming back with it fixed? So um,
sounds good.
yeah.
That sounds good. And then so far, you as successful as you guys are, what has been the most satisfying accomplishment so far in All Tech and in Chain Raise? Because I know you're affiliated with them as well. So what's been the most satisfactory success you can look back on?
Well,
I'm
so
sure
far,
you're going to have many more.
yeah, there's a lot, but so far in chain raise, um, I'm proud that my partner Corey and I were able to get through the last 3 years of the absolute toughest situations of a tech entrepreneurship, tech startup, coming out of COVID. And I think that maybe if your first company isn't successful, you know, you probably learned enough in that first company to make the next company extremely successful. But I'm really happy about where we are with Chain Raise as far as the team we've built there. We have about 15 people that work underneath us, and we have a really good team there, and we're doing things that not a lot of people are doing. Like I said, with the blockchain and the crowdfunding stuff, and then on Alltech, um, and really this ties into chain raise as well. My most satisfying stuff is being able to pay my team, is being able to pay my team and send them the money, and look at the messages that I see when they tell me about how they got the money, and how it changed their family's life, because a lot of my team is overseas. It's important to all these people need some of them in, whether it's inside the United States too and outside the United States, but people just need opportunity. So
Absolutely.
I give these guys opportunity, and if they prove themselves, and I pay them, and I get to hear about their families, and I get to hear about rent getting paid, and they're getting a car, and they're just so passionate, and it matches my passion, and so I love it. It's just so fun. So I learned early, Seth, like we spoke about, before. I learned early that it's not all about money, and when you don't focus on money, that's when everything happens. So you just got to focus on doing the right thing, and being focused on what I believe is putting what's right first.
You mentioned, I really like how you said that, Jake. You said focusing on the right thing. Where do you get your core beliefs from? How do you find your pathway, your center core, your spirituality, so to speak, or motivation,
Yeah,
inspiration when you're saying do the right thing? Would you expound upon that a little?
yeah, for sure. So I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Arizona. I went to a private Christian school, so I always had the Christian religion, influenced on my life. Um, my parents weren't pastors or anything. I just went to a private Christian school. Sports was my life. And then when I went to seventh grade, I started going to, one of the bigger schools in Arizona, because we were focused on sports. But I always had, really, I read the Bible. So I just try and put God's
Oh
word.
yeah,
Yeah. I just try and put God's word first. And it's really, whether you believe whatever you believe, it's important to read stuff and have stuff to believe in and journal and all that. And once you really put that stuff first, and you don't wake up and you check your phone and you worry about money and you worry about the projects being closed, but you keep your phone on silent mode and you sit down at your desk and you journal and you read the Bible, or you do whatever you need to do. And um, and so that's where a lot of my motivation and how to treat people and my morals come from. And I think, Seth, there's just I think too much evil rules the world right now. And there
amen.
needs to be like
Absolutely.
way more positivity. And that's why I love what you guys are doing, and so, this is my
Thank
first
you.
time being on, as you know, my first
Absolutely.
time being on a podcast. And um, so I just think that you guys gotta just keep up what you're doing. But I'm really excited about
I
that.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you mentioned, as we had our previous conversation, which I so enjoyed. I'm so excited to be able to share some of the encouragement and inspiration you gave me. And one of that, in looking to encourage a team and or what's our core spirituality, was something you mentioned to me, and I found it so fascinating. So I'm glad you got to share about that. I find that in any venture that we do, the core person, your core spiritual person, is what helps guide our value system and builds a structure for us. And it also fosters the culture of our company or our organization. So, in fostering a culture of compassion and empathy, would you say your spirituality helps direct some of that compassion and empathy within your company as well?
Yeah, for sure. At least all the people I work with, but that believe in something. So it's really just nice having that culture of, we're just going to give it to God, and we're just going to work as hard as we can, and we're going
I
to do
like
right,
that.
and we're just going to know that we're going to get treated the right way back. So everybody's just kind of that way in the office. And like I say, office, they're all over the world. I work with people all over the world. And my team here in the United States, they're out in Florida. So yeah, it's people all over. It's very interesting. It's really cool, like working with so many people and seeing their perspective. And you know um, it's one person's problem is maybe another person's dream. So
Absolutely.
it's crazy.
Jake, it's very crazy. Jake, I hope you wouldn't mind. Would you mind expounding upon? Sometimes I see in my experience with owners of company and entrepreneurs, sometimes in building a team, going back to the spirituality component to some degree, sometimes in building that team, the culture is very stagnant. And then other places you see the culture is very warm and open. How would you say within Alltech Virtual, the culture, it tends to be a little more spiritual, a little more static, or a combination of that? That's part of
Yeah.
that fostering. How do you see your Alltech Virtual that way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, so from all the experience I got from Chain Raise with my partner, for the last since 2021, I've probably interviewed 300 people. I've probably
Wow.
fired I've probably fired five people, and five people have probably just left. And so you just get to know people and how people work. But we keep it, like, for example, I ask how their family is doing. I like to ask people how they're doing before we get into the work. And it's just, but I learned all that. It's not about getting the job done. And I've learned from a lot of other people too, how they run their business or how they manage other people. And then you just watch and see how people react. And you really got to treat people how they want to be treated. And you could just motivate anybody to do anything.
And I'm curious, your journey to get here. was one of growth, personal growth and professional growth. Tell us a little bit about your growth and coming into the incredible person that you are now. Can you give us a little bit about your growth going all the way to present day?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just touch on it a little bit. So I think everybody struggles with, a lot of stuff. And I think, everything's relative. I have this one guy, for example, this is big. I have this one guy I work with. He lost his leg. And he is a young guy like me. And he doesn't have any, like, he's not angry about it or whatever. He was in the military for like 5 years, got out of the military, rolled his Jeep, lost his leg, and he just laughs about it. He laughs about how he's like, yeah, I was in the military. And this guy said something to me that just, I was like, oh my gosh. And I go, and we were talking, and I go, man, I don't get people. Um, and this changed my life really. And I try not to judge anymore because of stuff like this that's happened. But I go, how do you, people frustrate me, or how do you not get frustrated when people are bugging about this, and they're complaining about this, and it's the end of the world, and this and that, and then you have something like this, and you have to deal with something like this. And um, he goes, man, struggle and pain and all that is all relative. That's what he said.
Mm.
He didn't say,
Oh, wow.
oh yeah. He didn't say, oh yeah, I lost my leg, I'm dealing with one leg, like life.
He didn't feel sorry for himself.
Right. He's like, dude, don't worry about those people. It's all relative. Like, to them, maybe the worst thing that happens to them is not losing their leg. It's something else that is, they're dealing with it worse than he's dealing with it,
Yes.
So anyways, I don't know how we got on that. That was a guy that really impacted me. I've just had a lot of those situations over the past 10 years that really impacted my life. Like we talked before, I feel like the past 10 years, I always put myself in hard positions. So I want to help people get there quicker. For example, when I got out of when I was going from construction technology in 2008, I was with, two friends growing up that, they're like my brothers. And we were hang out every day. We would think the same thing. We were trying everything. We were, getting into the wrong drugs and the wrong alcohol and the wrong, doing this. And, like we talked about, Seth, in my time, I tried everything on this earth, and everything to help me feel better and to make me more powerful and everything. And in that time, one of those, my best friends that we were hanging out with every day, he got caught up with the wrong drugs, and he ended up, taking his own life, and he didn't make it through that. And so I just think it's important, I think it's important just to have the people around you that are in the right mind space, because, and keep me on track here, but in 2018, when I was transitioning, I was lost, right? And everybody gets this way, and people are like this way now. Everybody's lost, and they're scared, and they're fearful, and they don't know what to do. And that was me for 10 years, right? I hated high school. I never finished high school because we signed to go play football, and I said, screw this, I'm going to go, try drugs and, drink and party and do all this. So I didn't finish didn't graduate. My mom was devastated. But I got my GED. We came back, got my GED. So it's just bad decisions like that. And then, so you fast forward to 2018, I was getting into technology. We liked music at the time too. My dog growing up, 2018, he had just passed away. My grandpa had just passed away. My friend had just, took his life. We lost him. And I was like, man, I need to get out of here. So my mom's from Washington State, and I moved in with my uncle and my cousins, and I lived in the basement in Seattle, just south of Seattle. And we, this is beginning of the year, so we were just snowboarding and skiing every day. And I was just like, man, I'm just so, I don't know what to do. And I wanted so badly to find something new and to find something. And that's when I started getting into, I found YouTube and I got into like optimization and this and that, and how, I don't know if you've read the 4 Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss, but that's when I was really
I
big.
remember your suggestion. I'm checking that out. I remember your suggestion. I haven't read it yet, but it's definitely one of the books I'm fascinated by.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't even know how he's able to do all these things, but it's just helps you with how, like, you can have a VA, or you can run all these companies and save all this time, and it's really cool. And you can do stuff you care about. But at the time, I was trying to figure out. I was like, okay, we still had crypto, and I was like, what are we doing? And so my cousins helped me out a lot. Like I got to throw a shout out to Dominique and Flavius when I was really
What's
struggling.
up, Dominique?
Yeah, for sure. So we were drinking so heavy, man. We were drinking so heavy. And one night I was also doing a side gig at this restaurant. Long story short, we drink too much. I'm passed out at the bar, and, we're passed out at the bar, and, kind of stumbling and stuff, not really passed out, but my phone was dead. And this guy just out of nowhere, he takes me to a charger because all my friends had left, because I said I was going to walk home, but I didn't make it. He took me to a charger, and I call my cousin Dominique. She picks me up, and she takes me home, and she's just so amazing. She's always been so amazing. But her parents, who are my aunt and uncle, they took me in and helped me. While at that time I was in Washington, she was like, my Aunt Shady's was like, hey, my uncle, my brother or whatever, he passed away from alcoholism. And she shed some tears and stuff. And it was just like, dude, I don't want to, that I just don't want to make people feel this way from my decisions and stuff. So that was 2019. I was like, hey, I gotta get better. So I was getting, sober from alcohol, and we started the web development company. Moved back, and then we started that, moved back to Arizona. And then in the end of 2019, I met my fiance. We were just all in entrepreneur. Like 2019 was everything, was the start of everything. After getting out of, just like trying to figure out what we were going to do, losing people, and just doing the wrong things, and just tired of being sad and unhappy. But I credit a lot to my fiance. So we meet in 2019, and then in 2019, we were just doing the technology company, but smaller scale, and we were traveling, and that was kind of during COVID. Into 2020 was COVID, and like it was amazing for me because we just met, and all we got to do was just hang out all the time, and she just gave me such a spark. With what I was doing, she supported everything that I was doing, and I think it's important to have the right partner, because in this one book, The Law of Success, it talks about how
I have read that.
Yeah, that's a great one. The man is supposed to have a woman there because it just does something, chemically, and once you really are, you have that hive mind, right? And it's just amazing what you can do. And then you have those people around you. So anyways, 2019, we meet, and then, fast forward to 2021. I actually was in, this is an interesting story. We take off on this flight. So I love flying. I've been flying since I was 1. And we take off us on this flight from Idaho, because she's from Idaho. And 60 seconds in, we have this compressor stall in the engine. It's like, if you've seen a motorcycle and it's like backfires and, fire comes out. That happened on the plane, and everybody was freaking out. We had to turn around and land, and that screwed me up. That was like my first time in my life I had ever dealt with real fear. Like that screwed me up so bad, because I had to travel still for business. I tried to drive everywhere. I started taking trains. Nobody's probably even heard of the Amtrak except for you and other people.
No one's heard of the Amtrak.
But like that was a crazy time that just kind of, just telling these stories that kind of built me. And but Then 2021, yeah, that happened. And I don't know, it's just like, I told my partner, I was like, that was an eye-opening experience for me. We got to create this company. So then we create the company, and
That was so. And when you had that, that was creating Alltech Virtual or Chain
I was
Raise.
chain raise.
Okay.
Because before that, I was doing what before Alltech Virtual was called Rush Web Design, and that was web design and development. And yeah, so we were already building technology, and then we built everything for chain raise. And my partner and I, we hustled at that. We went to all these conferences in Miami and in Austin, and hustled. And then 2020, it's January 2023 or 2024. We've been hustling and doing that. And then that's when I started Alltech Virtual, because I had everything at my disposal. I mean, we have a lot of value in what we bring. Between me and my partner Jeremy, who's my CTO, we have a lot of direction and management there, and good communication and all that kind of stuff. And then the teams that we have, I mean, they're the best of the best. And we were talking, is we demand so high of them. And
Yes.
if you don't want to do that, then you're just going to get replaced. I mean,
May I ask, does your fiance share in the technological portion of her career? Is she part of is that portion of her career as well?
yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you asking. She's actually an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So when we first met, she had just moved back from Yellowstone, where she was a server at this Yellowstone club, which is pretty much, it's where Mark Zuckerberg and Tom Brady, all these guys do their vacationing. So she was like doing these crazy serving events. And then when she moved to Arizona, that's when I met her. She was actually a bartender at the resort that I was at, and we met there. And she was doing that, and she always had all these dreams, of being an entrepreneur and doing what she wanted. And then we met, and I was, just influencing her to do, whatever you want. At the time, she wanted to do sewing. So I said, let's go to Walmart, let's get a sewing machine, let's start sewing the stuff. This was during COVID. She starts sewing masks and swimsuits and stuff. And so she starts there, and then she starts a company called Incluswim, which is like a bikini swimwear company.
And just so I get the name right, Incluswim.
Yeah, Incluswim. This was like 3 years ago. So she was doing real estate, and she created that. And then so basically she's just been doing entrepreneurship. And then what she's mainly focused on now, that she has a love for, is matchmaking. So there's actually only like 2,000 matchmakers in the United States. It's interesting. And so
I got to call her when it's time again. I got to call your fiance for matchmaking.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's all about like building a database and having a website and just being personable and having a network and stuff, because like that's one of the most organic ways to really connect anything, to start a project or a relationship, whatever. So I'm really proud of her. She's really passionate about that, because we believe, God is in our relationship. I didn't tell you about this though, but she didn't have God in her heart. But when we met,
Oh wow.
when we moved into our first apartment together 4 years ago, I said, "Hey, do you want to ask God to come into your heart?" And
Wow, Jay.
I had already been influencing her by just like the music and because I was already a believer, and so she had already seen it, and I don't know, I maybe impacted her, and she's like, "Okay, you're different, whatever." I was like, "Well, do you want to have God, come into your heart?" And we said a prayer, and then she asked God to come into her heart, and we just sobbed. Like, it was crazy, man. We were just sobbing and crying and just thanking God for, like 30 minutes. And it was one of the most powerful feelings I've ever had.
Wow,
inside.
man.
So she's the best. She's my number one. She knows everything about me, and she's there for me, and we're connected. Our souls, our hearts are connected towards doing what's right. And so what we really want to do, like we've talked about before, Seth, is just we want to get to a point where The companies and everything can just run on autopilot, and we can just do our efforts towards giving back.
And
No
tell
bill.
me about that, giving back. What does that look like to you? Because we shared some great ideas as far as some of what your interests are, but would you mind sharing giving back? What does that look like for you and for Alltech Virtual?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate you asking. Yeah, so my goal is really to help people who need the opportunity, or they're in an opportunity where they can't get help, whether that's inside the United States here or outside the United States. One of the things that I mentioned to you is we want to build water wells and any other kind of
Yes, yes, you
infrastructure
did.
that we can build in small villages or towns that really make a difference. Because if you just build, some of these, for example, I learned this story in church. This was a story that really stuck with me. They went out to do missionary work in a town in Africa, a little village, and every day they spend 5 to 6 hours walking for their water. So the mom in the oldest girl is walking every day round trip 5 to 6 hours for the water. Because the guy didn't know this, because the guy goes, "Hey, how do you like school?" And she just looks at her mom, and her mom's like, "Hey, like, we can't go to school. Like, we have to spend all day walking for water." And so, and the mom can't get a job. And so they build a water well there, and they come back like, they
Oh,
maybe
yes, I remember you telling
they
me.
come back
Yes,
6 years later or whatever. They check up on it, whatever. And that same family, the girl was able to graduate high school, and she's going over to college in America to become a doctor. And
what a
it's like,
blessing.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, how amazing! And all it takes is
Absolutely.
$5-10 million to build those wells. So that's the one thing that we want to start with, is that infrastructure in other places outside of America that need it. And then inside of America, we need to focus on mental health. We need to
Mm.
focus on homelessness, and then obviously the animal shelters. They need a lot of work too. But
And you
uh,
mentioned my loves. Those are definitely some of my appreciative. So those, would you mind? Would you say those have a great deal to do with your belief in God and your commitment to giving back? And that was, would you say
yeah,
that's a big part of your encouragement and inspiration?
yeah.
God being the center of that.
Yeah, like I think it's important to make sure this is a main thing. And like I said, I tried everything to make me happy. When I
Yes,
was around people who had everything, and they weren't happy, and they didn't act right, and it wasn't fun to be around them. And so I was always around God. I knew about the stories, I knew about the Bible, I had a relationship with God, and it's about having a relationship with God, not just going to church.
absolutely.
So I had a mental breakdown, let's just say, for let's say all the buildup for the last 3 to 5 to 7 years all came crashing down the first of this year, right? Whether it was this, and this, I won't have to get into it, but it was mainly relationships, and it was mainly being addicted to alcohol, which I mentioned to you. We were addicted to alcohol for years and years, and we were able to break
Absolutely.
through that. And I think that the only way people get through addiction is suffering for so long that they can look in the mirror and they said that they've had enough with the situation that they keep putting themselves in. That's the only way that somebody's going to change doing what they're doing. That's bad, right?
I
So,
got you.
um, yeah, so it's just, yeah, so God is everything to me, God's word. And yeah, I really want to give back, because like I said, we tried everything. Things either made me happy, or I thought it was making me happy, and some of it even involved making more money, but it just wasn't the right way of making money, and it didn't feel right. I try to convince myself that it was right. So I think it's important for people, young people especially. You need to be able to discern what God is putting in your heart, and what the
Mm,
Spirit
so
is.
well said. Please say that again. That's so well said.
Well, it's really hard. I mean, you need to be able to discern what God is telling you, and you need to, from what your own feelings are and what your influenced feelings are and stuff like that. Which I was so, like, every day I was what is this feeling or that feeling? And the only way that you actually get that feeling is setting time alone with God and God's word, to
Mm,
meditate on his word and pray. So and then the more that you do that, and then the more that you go out and you live on what he's the rule, not even the rules, but his guide on how to live. And in those situations, you just feel a different feeling. I'm telling you, like the feeling with God and the feeling that God gives you is a feeling that nothing else gives you. No matter
Amen.
what anybody says, whatever, any drug that you've done, whatever experience you've had, there's that feeling that I think draws everybody in, right? So I just pray that everybody feels that, and that's why I like you, Seth. And I just
I
pray that
appreciate that.
I'm not here to offend anybody. I respect whatever, and that's the thing that I learned about chain rays and building relationships. Life's about there's no if you have a disagreement with somebody, it's more fun to hear why they think that way, and as long as that person allows you to have this conversation first off, or else it's just a waste. People got to allow
Absolutely.
people to speak their opinion, and it's not like, and don't take it personal. I know so many people, and I met so many people throughout the years. It's like, I really don't believe what you do. I really don't believe in how you do this or what you believe, but there are things that I like and love about you, and I believe your heart's in the right place. So I'll continue to, be friends with you, or have this business relationship with you, right?
And absolutely. And Jake, I think you tapped into something that I find I want to follow through a little bit on. I think today we've become so culturally sensitive. Offense can come from anywhere. So it's not even in just mentioning about how one discovers their relation with God and or their own personal beliefs, but because I think we've come to a place where we feel so delicate to discuss our spirituality, we're missing a valuable part of our human connectivity. And I think in our previous conversation, one of the ways we were able to connect on that was discussing spirituality. And no offense comes to anyone who believes any other way they want to. But I find in your personal testimony, that's about sharing God's love and just saying, this was what worked for me, Jake. And God is the source of that. And there is no offense to be taken if you're just understanding we are spiritual creatures continuing to look for connectivity with ourselves. And Alltech Virtual and Maker's Bar, we're all seeking a higher connectivity in our spirituality, and God is the center point of that. So
Yeah.
I think I appreciate you sharing that, because we did have a great conversation in that spiritual connectivity that I feel we're all looking for, and what it's done for you to find God. I know for me personally, the amazing things in developing a spiritual relationship with God, what it meant for me myself, and the love. A lot. I think a number of people feel having a spiritual relationship is absent of love. To me, having a spiritual relationship is the foundation of love.
Have you been able to share the platform with your story?
I have not as of yet, because Maker's Bar right now
Well,
is
when you
more
do,
about
when you do, why don't I interview you?
you know what? Hey, Jake, you know what? We're on. We are
That'd be a
on.
good idea.
As a matter of fact, that you know what, Jake, considering our conversation was so warm and so enlightening, you're on, man. You are
Yeah. Hey,
on.
maybe
That
we
will
could
be
even make them in person. We're not too far
Jake.
from each other.
Not at all. Hey, you know what? You're on. You're on, Kat. I
That'd be
will
great.
definitely. I take you up with absolutely, absolutely. Um, so now, since Alltech has been established, if you were to say, or I'm sorry, let me back up. The most encouraging words a mentor has given you, what would you? Can you recall what those words might have been that you can share with us?
Oh man.
And it doesn't have to be a mentor. It can also be a person that was just encouraging in your life, or and even if it's not a specific person, it could be an incident, but it gave you the most encouragement you felt in darker times, and or maybe not just darker times, but during a struggle of time. What were the most inspirational words you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I mean, you know me. I hate to keep coming back spiritual, but it's really
There's
the
nothing
only.
wrong with that.
It's really like the Bible and some of these stories in the Bible and stuff like that. Because and obviously it's my friends over the years that like I said, who lost his leg, and other people like that. But I don't really remember more. It's just one thing that one person told me, because you know, if I hear one thing, something like that with somebody, I'm going to hang out as long as I can around you and be around you as much as I can.
That's right. Me too.
So, experience with those people and going through experiences with other people who have
Yes, I
other
like
kinds
that.
of experience than you can learn so much. And that's why it's important not to be a grumpy person who's stuck up in themselves, because you need to be able to listen and learn from other people.
Absolutely. I think that's key. Listening is very key. I think that's extremely key. And then as an entrepreneur, and you met going back a little bit earlier, as a younger entrepreneur, what would you say? What would you give them as advice if they wanted to start their own company? What would be the advice you would share with them?
Yeah, I mean, leading into that the previous conversation is, definitely having the people around you that either have the experience or either have the same drive as you or have more money than you. It's very important to try and look to those things first. Put your business plan together or put your business together by as far as you can by yourself. But what I've learned is there's other people doing the same exact thing as you. They just have more money, or they have more people on their team, or they've had more time. So how can you get there, quicker? Um, get there to where they are quicker than if it was just by yourself. And those are really the ways.
So you brought up something. We touched on it, but not here. For someone who's just starting, looking to start their own company, and they lack the funds, do you have a piece of advice as far as how to get the funds or
Well,
other means?
I'm going to put a plug into chainraise.io, because
Okay,
that
please
is
do,
the
please do.
startup. But I'll tell you, Chainraise does regulation crowdfunding, and crowdfunding allows companies to raise up to $5 million from unaccredited investors. So this is all in the private capital market. So unaccredited investors mainly just have opportunity into crypto or into what's into Robinhood. Well, those companies are already public, um, and they've already made all their gains. So what crowdfunding is it's an exemption to the SEC to raise capital through unaccredited investors, retail investors.
Break that, Jake. If you don't mind, can you break that down? That's fascinating. Break that down a little bit, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so an accredited investor in the United States is considered anybody who has a net worth of over $1 million or has annual income of 10% of this, that, and that. Right? We don't have to get into it. You can Google it if you want. Unaccredited versus accredited, Google, Reg CF, but it allows for majority of the United States investors are unaccredited and retail investors, because the people who are accredited investors, we already have the connections to people who have those offerings, who have those investment opportunities, because people like you and I, we're already in the entrepreneur. Somebody comes to me with a new business opportunity every day. So if I thought it was good, I could just put my money in there, wait 3 years, and then I can make more money on that one thing than I ever made in the stock market, because those are already public. They've already made all the gains, right? So it's cool things like crowdfunding, which came out in 2019 and got revolutionized in 2021, where it's really allowing. You've probably heard of a company called Start Engine. I don't want to name drop my competition out here, but Start Engine is the biggest. Oh, look, hey, let's let my puppy get a little.
Oh yeah, let's see the puppy. And what's the puppy's name?
Ruby.
Hey, Ruby.
Yeah.
Oh, Ruby's a
Anyways,
part of this too. Hey, Ruby.
yeah. So
Thank you for sharing Ruby. Thank you for sharing Ruby with us.
yeah, I'm in my home office right now, and then we just got a new office in Northern Scottsdale. But yeah, so where were we, Seth?
We were talking your competition. You want to list
Oh
their
yeah,
names?
so Start Engine was yeah. Start Engine was the first one. A lot of people know them because Kevin O'Leary. I don't really necessarily agree with his practices or their practices, but they kind of drew everybody in on that. And you can get into like if Jake wanted to go do a capital raise for Alltech Virtual, I could get on chainraise.io, and then I would be able to go advertise that on the internet. Whereas normally, if you were to do a capital raise, you do it under like Reg D or something, or Reg A. Those would only be available to accredited investors, and you wouldn't be able to solicit that offering. So we have a platform that is an investment platform that allows you to get your offering on there, and it's all vetted, and it's through the SEC. It's crazy. And then people who invest, they need to pass KYC and verification, and they can invest. And so,
Jake,
yeah.
pardon me. Just on that note, so Jake, you and Chainraise walk them through this process, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So we do everything from, helping you prepare the paperwork that you need to be able to file through the SEC. And then we help you craft a marketing strategy, connect with marketing partners. And then we help you set up the offering page on our platform. And then we go live and you just send people to the offering page and just have people invest. And
may I ask, just following up with that, so with Chainraise, the person who is looking to solicit your support, they pay a nominal fee of sorts, and or is it percentage wise, if that's okay to ask, as far as promoting Chainraise?
Yeah, so there's just a startup fee, and that takes care of like all of the fees that we have to pay to legal and all this kind of stuff. And we just take a small percentage on the back end of whatever capital is raised on the platform. But if I were a company, which I'm always starting new companies, always interested in being with new companies, is if you need capital and you don't, I think the best way to do this is try and bring in strategic partners, is what they're called strategic partners that have capital, who have done what you're trying to do before. Have them come in and, have them be like the mentor or the person with the experience and bring money. And then you can get that thing going. Don't give up anything more than 25%. They'll try and get you on 50%. But you're going to do all the work, and you need to remember that if you're going to start a company, the cap table and the percentage of equity that you have now, or your cap table has at that point, is not going to be the percentage or whatever that you own when that company sells, if it ever sells. Because
real quick, just to tap into on the strategic partners before we go forward, if you don't mind, follow up with some key marking points for finding or locating good strategic partners.
Well, first off, you need to look around. You need first off, I'm looking for my she's good. You need to look around and make sure you need to look around and make sure that you that you could just have them around you. For example, I've met so many people over the years that I could just think about. If I wanted to create a new company, I can think about the person that would be best for me to reach out and say, hey, check this idea. Preferably, you're going to need a business pitch deck to have first before you reach out to them. But if they have to, those people are going to fall in love with the person first before they're going to like the idea or whatever, but they're going to fall in love with the person, like me or you, who's creating the company. If you're passionate about it and they like you or whatever, and then they'll give you the money to start it. But you got to make sure that the strategic partner is not just going to give you money and dip out, because it's okay.
So
it's okay. It's not the worst thing, because they're still gonna. And when I say dip out, I mean like they're not going to do anything. They're still going to answer your phone. They're still going to do anything. They're still going to meet with you. I speak from experience, but you got to make sure that if you really want them to do it, they're in a position in their life, because majority is they're already successful and they don't need to do that. That's why they have the money, and that's why they're so willing to give you the money, because at this point in their life, they're probably just doing investment moves and consultations, right? So, but you got to make sure that the person it'd be helpful if they were like driven as you, and this is random, but that's why whoever I work with, and especially the people who work for me, I ask, what's your dream? Why are you working so hard? What's your goal? What are you working for?
Now, may I ask, following back with the strategic partners, so maybe some good character traits of the strategic partner you would like to partnership with is their ability to communicate. They're going to stick with you from beginning to end. You're checking them out. One of the commitments they make is, I will pick up the phone. I'm going to be here for you. One of the other commitments when you're deciding this is a great strategic partner for me is the integrity of some of their spiritual portfolio, how they present themselves, their immediate present. Those are some key indicators as far as
that gets overlooked. Business,
it does get overlooked.
The spiritual factor in business gets overlooked, but I will tell you, the people who have anything to do with God or believing in God and reading the Bible are always on a whole nother level than everybody else. And if you're always like, there's something different about them, and it's like, oh, okay, it's because of they base most of their stuff off the Bible and God's word. So, but yes, it's important to and if they're going to bring money in consultation, most likely they're not going to be putting in work. Like I would much rather have a older partner who doesn't even have a computer that would bring money, but it would answer every single one of my calls and would be totally engaged to everything that we're doing, because I don't need your input to do anything. I'm a kind of person that we talked about. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go get it done. The only thing stopping people like me is the capital or the other resources to be able to get it done.
Absolutely. That makes sense. So that's very good to think about. Tell me, so now you and I have spoken about this, so I might already be smiling because of your answer. But so Jake, share with us your vision 5 years from now. Alltech Virtual is where?
Yeah, well, when I first met you, I first told you that I don't want to be working in 5 years. And
yes,
to clarify, I don't want to be working on business. I don't want to be working in business. I want to be a business owner. I want to have a portfolio of businesses, but my main job I want to be is philanthropy. Like what we talked about earlier in this podcast.
Absolutely.
And last time is I want to be giving back. If I'm not in 5 years spending majority of all my time towards my foundations and giving back, there's something went wrong. Because that's a while, and I would hope to be doing it sooner than later, but I would like to be more hands off of business. I would like to be traveling. I'd like to be building those villages, and I would like to be helping out mental health in the United States. I'd be liking to open up, shelters. So I actually got my puppy from a shelter. There's a famous story in Arizona here where this lady was hoarding hundreds of dogs. There was dead puppies in her freezer next to her food. And the police came. This got so much attention. This was on the news and everything. It was in Chandler, Arizona. The shelter that I got Ruby from, they dropped like 50 dogs off the night before at this shelter that already had like 20 dogs. And it's like 2 people running the whole thing. And it's crazy. I feel so bad. But anyways, we got Ruby from the shelter, and she had the first 2 months of her life were really brutal. So, it's important to like check out shelters and because you can find puppies at shelters and stuff. But little plug to shelters real quick. Everybody go check.
Yes, I was just going to say, I'm a huge advocate of rescue dogs. And that was one of the things we shared as well, reverting back to that. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to not only spay and neuter, sound like Bob Barker here and aging myself, but no, kudos to you, especially that story is horrific. But I am such a dog lover and rescuer, I can't express enough. And I think that's part of our journey is showing kindness to animals is one of the things as well. I didn't want to forget this point. So in 5 years from now, you're traveling, Alltech Virtual it's engaged in this philanthropy. The pet adoption being one of them. What would be some of the other 2 areas of philanthropy you'd like to see yourself and Alltech Virtual involved in?
Yeah. And the other thing is too, I don't want to I will always keep these businesses, I think, because I like to think of myself as a good leader as far as helping other people. And the businesses that I have is such an amazing platform to be able to put money in other people's pocket while we're helping other people. So I love the fact that of running businesses, owning businesses, and having the money to pay people. It's so amazing. And then the other things that we need to be doing ASAP, which might actually be before the traveling and overseas, is here in America, mental health. And
I was going to get to that. I'm glad. Please explain that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, over the years, that has been my biggest struggle. My friend who passed away and took his own life, that was his biggest struggle. We were dealing with the same thing at the same time. It's hard when you're around other people that have mental struggle. You don't know that other person. So, real quick, I think it's important when you see somebody struggling or you are struggling, you need to be around more positive people, because those
Absolutely.
positive people, they actually can, like if somebody's in the right mental space, like I can really tell if somebody's hurting, whether you're faking it or not, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's just important for people to be around other people that are better. But yeah, I dealt with, my mental health ever since I got out of high school, whether it was, checking myself into a detox rehab thing to get over, what I was trying to get over, or, losing people, or almost losing relationships, and losing almost everything I had because I just wanted to go drink. And like I said, I tried everything. We tried, spending our money on everything, and we tried doing everything to make us feel better. But the only thing that truly, brought me back to who I really am is God's word. And I just really want to help. I want to be able to help other people with their mental health, and because that's the number one thing that we need to put more
Absolutely.
focus on. So
Jake, I'm glad you shared that, because in our previous conversation off camera, that is a huge issue that I think is underrepresented to some degree. I think we're talking about it more these days to some degree, at least more in public, but more attention and
yeah,
finances and
still nobody is
resources.
doing anything.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you shared that, in addition to your own challenges with it and your success as far as where you've gotten to today, and the accomplishment and where God has brought you from, and your intuition and your drive and your entrepreneurship. So I do appreciate you sharing that, because I think a number of young people are struggling with how do they seek help, or what resources are available for help in identifying some of those, and if they have financial ability to be able to pay for that. So I think you touching on that is very much appreciated, and I'm hoping it definitely reaches the people that need to hear that there are uh, resources available and finances. That is one of our commitments. Makers Bar, myself and yourself, committed not only verbally but in our actions, that mental health is something that is more openly discussed, and access put to it. So I so appreciate you sharing that. Seriously.
Yeah.
If you were going to leave with a parting word as far as your style of management, and what would you say your style of management is?
Yeah, I think transparent, transparent,
Transparency,
and just passionate, probably
passion.
transparent and passionate and caring, because um, I've seen it from other people, and I've seen how I stuck to, growing up, I always stuck to, I feel it's important to be yourself when you're being a leader, and you need to have the right morals in order to lead other people. And
Absolutely,
you're going to always get, however you treat other people is how you're going to get treated. If you
absolutely.
don't pay people on time, your invoices are going to start being late. Trust me. And I'm not
For
saying that. I'm
sure.
saying that from everything I've learned, from everything I've seen over the past, 8 years in business. Like I just try and do everything the right way, because I've seen other people do it the wrong way, and I've been able to notice. And ever since my first company I started, the reason I started my first construction company is because in 1 week these guys did a nail gun through their hand twice. And
Wow.
I
Oh,
go,
wow.
you guys they're older too. And I was like, man, you guys are some screwballs. I'm going to school for this. I'm going to go create an LLC, and I'm going to go get my own projects, and we're going to do it better. And so that's how I feel about anything that we do. We can go make it better with the right people, with the right morals, and it'll be all right.
And so I tend to come toward the end of interviews, and I ask these couple of questions. Your favorite musical artist of all time? You had to name one musical artist you love the most.
Uh,
Now, I'm a music head. Along with being a
yeah.
dog lover and pet adoption person, music is a part in my blood. And so
Well,
for
yeah.
me,
Which I can't wait.
it,
We want to jam out together sometime. But
oh yeah, oh yeah,
because I was obsessed with making music when I went during that
great.
transition from construction to technology with one of my buddies who passed away. He was doing music. And, that's why it's like, I just remember he wanted so badly these opportunities and would do whatever it takes. But, you have these other people influencing you on what they're telling you what you should and should not do. And you let that influence you. And he just could have been such a good music guy. Anyways, I know about Logic Pro X. I used to love making music. And I'm more of a vibe guy. So I like melodic techno. In 2021, I visited my partner in Miami, and I like to describe like the music I like is if you go into a sushi restaurant in Miami, like a nice sushi restaurant or whatever, they got the DJ in the corner doing that, melodic techno.
Oh, yeah. I think we used to have some great sushi restaurants, and you'd find the DJ in the corner.
Yeah, no, I actually pray that I can get to my favorite sushi restaurant today, because my dog, she had surgery for the past 2 weeks and we've been stuck at home.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really want to go down the street to the sushi restaurant. Might have to go to celebrate this great conversation with you. And
I absolutely am.
No, but I like just like a guy artist called Tycho, Tycho, but just music like that. That has no words. That has no lyrics. It's
more the vibe and the melody.
Yeah. But then I grew up listening to, hip hop, and I like rock, and I also like country. I never liked country, but I lived in Missouri. I lived in the middle of nowhere. So in that story, I have all these stories, but in that story, I moved from one of the biggest cities in Arizona to the middle of nowhere in Missouri. And I'm just so, obviously that was a tough time and all that stuff happened, but I'm so fortunate of times like that, because it changed my perspective. I learned so much. And I think it's important for people. For example, my fiance's cousin's going through some pretty big life changes. And I said, hey, we're going to Mexico in 2 weeks. We got a couch. We got a big place that we got. Invite him there. Let's change his perspective. He lives in Idaho. And let's just chill out for a bit. And so I think it's important when you're going through things where you don't know the next move, or you're working so hard and you're caught up and you're like, I feel like I can't work anymore. You just need to go change your perspective, change your scenery. And that can even be going at a restaurant and working or whatever. But I'm talking about in life, you need to go move, and you need to go out of comfort zone and out of your state, maybe. But
go out of your comfort zone. So your music is techno.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I guess so.
Vibey feeling, but you're a renaissance man of other forms of music as well.
I grew up listening to, Drake and Future and Gunna. Like, my favorite hip hop artist is Gunna.
I'll dig it.
Yeah, but
and talking about Drake right now. I know you have you been following the beef between Drake and Kendrick?
I don't follow the beef, but I'm more obsessed with the conspiracies on the.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. We could talk about that.
We'll have a different convo, because my fiance doesn't want me to get into that, and I don't want us to get our channel shut down.
For sure.
But
for sure.
The public really knows what's going on. Look up a Cat Williams interview. Look at what the guy did who exposed Boeing. Something happened to him the next day. He said he would never do anything to himself. He had a family, everything, exposed Boeing, gone missing for sure. All this stuff. So if you're like, people need to stand firm to what they believe. There's too much evil. There's too many evil people and too many evil groups with money. So Seth, my goal is with this, these technology companies that we have, we can make some serious money by helping people, and we can take that money to go help more people instead of go help evil people like all the other corporations are doing. So sorry.
And no, I'm glad. I didn't want to interrupt that flow. Did you want to add in that last few seconds? I cut you off a little bit there.
No, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you say about
that. I am everyone who knows me and knows that the concentration I have is on the efforts of love, God's love, and how we can spread that. And we outshine the evil and the darkness with light. And it is completely our charge given to us to continue to spread love and goodness. And so with our financial resources, with our spiritual resources, to be an encouragement one to another, that evil does not prevail. Love always prevails. And that's because the Almighty Creator has given us love to be able to share that and then encourage one another. In conversations like this, we're doing business, but we're also sharing love with one another.
Yeah.
And we're encouraging. I hope to share with the audience Our conversation prior has been so encouraging to me. You made me smile and laugh, and your brilliance and your empathy and your compassion and your drive has been an encouragement to me, along with your spirituality and how you've overcome so much to bring Alltech and chain raise to us. So for me, when in our engagement of conversation, that's how we continue to go forward. Yourself, myself, Makers Bar, and other entrepreneurs that we like to do. If you know that Makers Bar tagline is creating 1 million leaders today for tomorrow. And it's through conversations like this with you and I, we continue to do so. So, Jake, how can people reach out to Alltech? And if you wanted to shout out a little more as far as chain raise as well, please give out your contact information and what they can do to support you and reach out to you.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to connect with me is LinkedIn, is just my name on LinkedIn. I've got a lot of connections there. We've met so many different people over the years. So I like to stay on LinkedIn all the time because I'm messaging people. And so you just let's connect on LinkedIn and shoot me a message and say, hey, I saw the podcast. That would mean so much. I've never actually been on a podcast, but I just love talking with people and helping people. But if you need any help with software development, you can go to alltechvirtual.io, or you can go to my LinkedIn. And if you need help with capital raising for your startup or your company, you can go to chainraise.io, or you can go to my LinkedIn. And yeah, I hope to be on more podcasts on YouTube and on the internet with you, Seth. I think me and you can do some damage.
Oh, we're damage for the good. And you know what? You raised the point. So the challenge is on. Next, you interview me and I'll get to share my personal story.
Yeah, in person. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in person too.
Oh, yes, that's what we're going to be shooting for. Jake, we in Makers Bar, myself included, and the people who will be listening to this, we thank you so much completely from the bottom of our hearts in spending this time and taking out time. I know you're extremely busy. So we thank you for sharing your growth professionally and spiritually with us. I myself know from our conversation previous, and even more so today, how I've been encouraged. I just already have so much love for you, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do together, you and myself and Makers Bar. I just thank you from the bottom of our hearts and being with us today.
Yeah, same to you. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's always so nice, talking with you. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And
thank you so much, Jake. I really appreciate that. I really do. We at Makers Bar again thank Jake and Alltech Virtual. Please give them a shout out. Check them out on LinkedIn. Let us know what you think today of this interview. Jake, so much love to you, my friend. I'm sure we're going to continue talking. Thank you so much for spending your time with us again.
For sure. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. All good blessings. Again, Makers Bar, creating 1 million leaders. We send out love to you and all your families. Be blessed, good people. One love, family.